Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to this webinar, Current Limitations of Diagnostic Tests in TB Case Studies. I am the moderator for the session. My name is Dr. Aparna Bhanushali. And this webinar, can we have the next slide, please? This webinar is a collaborative effort by the Focus TB brand of Thyrocare Technologies and Haystack Analytics. The Focus TB brand aims to bring access to affordable and quality TB diagnosis to all. And this has been powered by Thyrocare Technologies. Haystack Analytics is a incubating. It's a startup. It's a deep tech company, which is an incubating in IIT B. And our mission, the objective of Haystack is to simplify genomics and enable access to genomics by providing end-to-end genomic services. So with that, I'll go to the agenda of our webinar. We will first have a presentation by Dr. Anil Kumar Singhal, who is our chief guest speaker. We will then have a presentation by Dr. Anirvan Chatterjee and by Dr. Chaitali Nikam, who are our guest speakers for the day. This will be followed by a Q&A session, and the instructions about which will be given later during the webinar. Kindly allow me to introduce Dr. Anil Kumar Singhal. Dr. Anil Kumar Singhal specializes in chest medicine. He has more than 20 years of clinical experience. He is a chief medical officer of the Best Corporation in Mumbai. He has also been awarded by several institutions like the ILO, the WHO, Geneva, the International Union Against Lung Disease Paris, USAID, USA, the IPE Global India, for his contribution to challenges for tackling the challenges which are posed by TB, HIV, and COVID-19. He's felicitated by the CPAA India in association with the WHO for his valuable work in the field of tobacco control and cancer prevention. Also, I would like to congratulate Dr. Anil Kumar Singhal. He has recently been, he is an expert consultant, recently been asked to be an expert consultant by the WHO and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, specifically for his role in tackling COVID in workplace scenarios. So congratulations, Dr. Singhal, and I welcome you to this. Yes, I welcome you to the webinar. Our next speaker for the day is Dr. Anirvan Chatterjee. Dr. Anirvan is the founder and CEO of Haystack Analytics, a leading startup in the field of genomic analytics. He has his PhD from the Foundation for Medical Research, Mumbai, and has done his postdoc at the University of Oxford, UK, and additional at the Technical University of Denmark. Welcome, Dr. Chatterjee. Our next speaker is Dr. Chaitali Nikam. Chaitali leads the infectious disease portfolio at Thyrocare Labs. She is a member of the Constitution of National Technical Working Group on Private Provider Engagement under the NACP, member of the National Technical Working Group on Collaboration between NTEP and corporate hospitals and laboratories, and she has more than 38 publications in peer-reviewed journals. So, with this, before we start our webinar, just a couple of instructions is that all the Q&As will be answered at the end of all the three sessions. You can either put them in the chat box or raise your hand, and we will try and accommodate as many questions as possible. In case we're not able to do so, it will be done by, we will be responding by email and trying to answer those questions. So with that, I request Dr. Anil Kumar Singhal to kindly start with this presentation.
Good evening, everyone, respected seniors and my colleagues. I am grateful to Thyrocare Hashtag Analysis for inviting me for this important webinar on a current limitation of TB testing. When the molecular biology testing performed on an Egyptian mummy, it was established that the TB was affecting the people since the ancient time. During those days, the people were dying due to unknown reason of unknown cause of death till 24th March, when Sir Robert Cox discovered the TB bacilli under the light microscope. After this discovery, most of the developed country has controlled its TB course well, but the developing country like India still struggle for control of its rampant course in the India. As per the WHO, India continues to have largest share of global TB cases. Plus, the decline in the new cases is very slow. The mortality is unacceptably very high. For every 3 minutes, around 2 people are dying on account of tuberculosis. Now, drug-resistant tuberculosis is now become a major public health concern. Besides the public health concern, the TB is a major threat to the economy, causing loss up to the tune of $100 million annually to the Indian economy. This is because tuberculosis predominantly affecting the people in a working age group, that is between 18 to 55. The TB often weaken the affected person. That's why he unable to attend his work, thereby lead to loss to the business. Besides that, there is a stigma, discrimination involved whenever the affected person the stigma discrimination are faced by the affected people when they are work. It is estimated that every affected person have lost the 3 to 4 months of their work time and around 20 to 30% of his annual income on account of tuberculosis. To mitigate the impact of tuberculosis, the United Nations in its Sustainable Development Goals has decided to eradicate tuberculosis by 2030. But on other hand, knowing the fact that or to minimize its devastating impact on the public health and the economy of India, our Prime Minister Modi ji has expressed his desire to eradicate tuberculosis 5 years ahead of the Sustainable Development Goal, that is by 2025. To meet this ambitious goal pronounced by our Prime Minister, the Central TB Division of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has launched the National TB Elimination Program by 2025. Under that, they are wherein the early diagnosis of both the latent and drug-resistant TB has given a very important role. Therefore, is the need of the time to accelerate rapid TB testing, including the drug-resistant DST testing. With this, my initial remark, I will start with my first case. Now, this is a 16-year-old girl, resident of Virar. Her father just expired 2 years back, and she got symptom for 1 month. She was symptomatic for 1 month. Then her sputum was done by his family physician, smear examination. All 3 were negative. So she was treated by family physician for more than a month with different sorts of antibiotic. But she was not improving. So she was asked to gene expert. But as his sample smear was negative, gene experts were not done. And then the sputum culture was done, which came positive after the end of 4 weeks. So, and she was started on a first-line anti-TB drug, but she was not responding. So the DST was done. This shows which came the result after the 6 weeks, and she shows that she was suffering from multi-MDR TB. So accordingly, she was started treatment, and she started responding to the treatment, and she got cured from the MDR TB. But after 1 year, her younger brother became symptomatic, and that is my second case number 2. So there he was a 14-year boy, and again symptomatic for 1 month. This time his sputum was done, which was negative, and again was treated by family physician. But knowing the history, that family history, that his father was expired because of DRTB, and his sister just recovered from the MDR-TB. So on the family history and X-ray, he was treated with the first-line anti-TB drug, but she was not responding. So the sputum gene experts were done, which shows RIFA resistance. So the DRTB treatment was started, and so it was started after 2 months of the symptom. But again, he was not responding. But the DST came after 4 weeks, which revealed that he was suffering from XDR-TB. And after that, also almost 4 months after his symptom, he was started on an actual treatment. I have another case number 3. Is 45-year-old male. He is our bus driver, and he was non-addict with no comorbidity. He was joined BST in 2014-15, and as our policy, we do not reject any person who had tuberculosis in the past. So when this time when he became symptomatic in 2020, in a December month, he was symptomatic. So when he came to us and we asked the history, so he gave history of tuberculosis 5 times in last 10 years. And all the time, initially he was treated on the basis of X-ray only. Then later on, he was treated on a sputum gene expert examination. And so he was treated with the first-line anti-TB drug. So this time also, his gene experts were done, which again show no RIFA resistance. So he was again started first-line anti-TB drug. But even after 1 month or 2 months, either he shows a delay or no response to the treatment. So we asked for culture, but Dot Center did not underwent the culture because he was already showing the no RIFA resistance. Then we did his culture DST from Hinduja Hospital, which shows a H monoresistant. So these are the 3 cases, and so he was started on a proper treatment after the end of the 2 months, that is that H monoresistant regimen. So these are the 3 cases is more than enough to convince you that there are some limitations in the current TB test. Still, we are seeing the people or a physician relying more on a radiological test, and we know that it is non-confirmatory. Recently, I have seen one case. I came to my private clinic. He was on anti-TB drug for almost 2 years, on first line only. Then, as he was not getting better, so somebody referred him to me. Then, unfortunately, not a single time his sputum smear was done. So this time we did his sputum smear, which came negative. Even a culture also came negative. So when I went to the history, he gave history of a pneumonia when he was a child. So this was a clear-cut case of a bronchiectasis, and he was treated on anti-TB drug for more than 2 years, merely on the X-ray report, X-ray finding. Similarly, we also come across many cases where we stopped the treatment rather than initiating the treatment, where the treatment was initiated only on the basis of their X-ray or a CT scan. Many times the patient are started on anti-TB drug like ILD case, then pulmonary fibrosis case, and many other cases. They just blindly start on anti-TB drug. But I will insist here, or I'll emphasize here that from the era of mummies to the era of a robot, the sputum smear microbiological examination still remain the gold standard for diagnosis of tuberculosis. But even a smear microbiological examination have some limitation. Like smear examination, until the sputum have 5 to 10,000 bacilli per ml, the sputum usually doesn't show smear positive. And it is also said that if the bacilli is less than 1,000 per ml, it never come positive, smear examination. The culture can detect the bacilli as low as 10 per ml, but it is very time consuming. It may take 6 to 8 weeks to come positive. The newer technology rapid test that Gene Expert can detect the bacilli within 2 hours, but the problem is that it can detect even a dead bacilli. Now another test that is called M96 CISO culture, that is again a rapid, but it detect only live bacilli. But the problem is here that the live bacilli get killed by sodium hydroxide in the processing. Then another that is called LPSA, they can detect rapidly, and it can detect the drug resistant like for rifampicin, INH, quinolone, and amino acid only. So these are some limitation which we are facing for the diagnosis of tuberculosis, and it is very crucial that we should overcome all these limitation to meet our strategy. So I would like to state here that in order to as a clinician to have a favorable treatment outcome, and as a public health consultant or occupational health consultant to control tuberculosis in a given population, uh, we must participate in a global United Nations global commitment and our Prime Minister ambitious goal to eradicate tuberculosis from India by 2025. And for that, it is must, it is utmost necessary to diagnose latent and all the form of drug-resistant tuberculosis as early as possible. For that, we must have one prescription fit for all patient strategy. For that, we must have a comprehensive diagnostic test which diagnose the latent as well as all the form of tuberculosis in a stipulated time and with very cost effective. Therefore, I, I insist that we should have a newer technology which can diagnose, which will fulfill all the criteria. And I can say that the whole genome sequencing or this TB genome sequencing can help us for early diagnosis and can help us to meet our Prime Minister desire or ambitious goal to end or eradicate tuberculosis from India by 2025 by early diagnosis in latent as well as mono, MDR, XDR, XXDR tuberculosis. So with that, thanks a lot for patient listening, and I hand over mic to Dr. Aparna. Thank you. Dr. Aparna, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Singhal, and thank you for these presenting us with these three cases, which are really, they kind of indicate how much time elapses between the time the patient actually gets the treatment. I will now ask our next speaker, Dr. Anirvan Chatterjee, to please start with his presentation and give his views on also the three studies that Dr. Singhal has presented.
Thank you, Dr. Singhal. That was, I think, amazing. Case studies are really a window for clinicians, scientists, and the general public alike to understand some of the intricacies of a disease progression, which are not always apparent when we look at things like pharmacology and any other scientific aspects independent. I think I'll try to bring in some of the aspects from my experience. Aparna, can you see the slide?
Yeah, we can.
Right. Again, this is a great pleasure for me to be able to be part of this webinar sandwich between Dr. Singhal and Dr. Chaitali Nikam. And I'll try not to go overboard between the stalwarts that I'm speaking here. I am Anirvan, and I am the co-founder at Haystack Analytics. I don't think Thyrocare needs any introduction, so you can see in the slide that Thyrocare stands on its own. Haystack has a lot of affiliations along with it, just to ensure that, look, we are legit and we work out of IIT Bombay. A lot of the work that we have done has been supported by the Department of Biotechnology, Departments of Science and Technology, IIT Bombay itself, and the Maharashtra State Innovation Society. We have worked closely with WHO, the Central TB Division, and and the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai. I have been personally very fortunate to work with people like Dr. Nargis Mistry, Dr. Camilla Rodriguez, Dr. Woodwardia, and other scientists all over the world. What I will be talking about is a slightly biased view of the world, and that comes from the view of the lab and how we develop technologies with the hope that we can assist the real heroes on the field, and like Dr. Singhal, who brave it every day to meet tuberculosis patients and try their best to provide them early relief from this extremely difficult disease, which used to be called consumption, and it was called consumption because it could actually consume the body. Just taking a cue from Dr. Singhal's talk, why is it that drug resistance comes on? I mean, it's a question which a lot of people have answers to, and there are many answers to it. What we need to understand is what is the relationship between multi-drug therapy and multi-drug resistance. And the point is, there is no relationship between multi-drug therapy and multi-drug resistance. It's the lack of a multi-drug therapy which might result in multi-drug resistance. How does that happen? Because TB is such a slow-growing bacteria, very early on, the global scientific and clinical community realized that we must give multiple drugs to the patient to ensure that the bacilli is killed. So the whole concept, very simply put, is one antibiotic is given and it's supposed to kill the bacteria. In case that antibiotic doesn't work, there is a second antibiotic in the system which should kill the bacteria. In case that doesn't work, there is a third antibiotic which is given. In case that doesn't work, there is a fourth antibiotic. Also, there are some more nuances because some of these antibiotics work on actively dividing bacteria. Some of them are for the elongated phase of the treatment. But the whole idea is very simple. It was always thought of a therapy which was supposed to prevent the evolution of drug resistance in the bacteria. The problem is, if we do not have all the 4 antibiotics or 5 antibiotics working at tandem, this entire concept falls flat. So which means if we give a patient 4 antibiotics, of which 1 is already not working, I'm increasing the chance of that antibiotic not working and the patient stop responding if other antibiotics don't work. I am reducing the efficacy of all the 3 antibiotics by having 1 antibiotic which is not working. If we have 2 antibiotics which is not working, then you are looking at a situation where you might be encouraging the bacteria in that patient to develop new drug resistance. And this is clear from what Dr. Singhal said in his case progression. The first patient might have been drug resistant or monodrug resistant. By the second patient, it was already MDR. By the third, it was XDR. It is because when you give drug therapy without knowing the efficacy of all the drugs, you limit the efficacy of each of the drugs. And that is a problem of giving multi-drug therapy without universal DST. So now coming to it, this is how important the government of India thinks universal DST is. In a country which can barely afford healthcare, and for a disease like tuberculosis, which unfortunately unequally affects the poor of the country, even for that, the government of India this year read out that genetic sequencing is the way forward to achieve universal drug susceptibility testing in India. However, it was really interesting the reasons why government of India, the National TB Elimination Program, laid out that it can't be put in place today. And the reasons were we had no infrastructure or skill to analyze and perform genome sequencing, perform the analysis of complicated genomics to provide the result that the clinician needs. It says the skill requirements of utilization of technology and integration into existing workflows does not exist in India today. And that is why this critical technology, which was launched in NHS in 2015, and today there are 15 countries in this world who use this technology, cannot be used in India, which has the largest amount of tuberculosis incidence in the world and the largest amount of drug-resistant TB, MDR TB, XDR TB, and possibly TDR TB. If you look into this further, there is no dearth of how much literature the world has generated on whole genome sequencing. In 2017, the WHO put out the guidelines for people to use whole genome sequencing and genomic analysis for drug-resistant analysis in Mycobacterium tuberculosis. In 2015, NHS put out, and this was literally their study, and I was fortunate to be at that point doing a postdoc there, rapid and comprehensive affordable mycobacterium diagnosis. And I'll come back to that affordable part in a bit. In UK, of course, this was also done in Mumbai with stalwarts like Dr. Nargis Mistry and Dr. Camilla Rodrigues, and I was really fortunate to be the first author in this study. If we look at that, there are hundreds of publications which have now shown whole genome sequencing does drug susceptibility testing every time, almost every time, better than any other method in the world today. It certainly is better than any molecular test, because every molecular test looks for a mutation and whole genome sequencing looks for all the mutations. There is no new kit, there is no FL, there is no SL, there is no expert, there is no expert plus. It's just one test for whole genome sequencing. I was again fortunate to be a part of these global studies, and one of them was very, very interesting, where we were able to do genome sequencing in a day. And someday we want to bring it to India as well. We are working on making that technology available in India. So this is how important whole genome sequencing has become for the global TB community, for doctors, for scientists, for public health, for surveillance programs, for national TB programs. In 2017, WHO brought out that whole genome sequencing needs to come in. In 2021, the guidelines, the PMDT, the Programmatic Management of Drug-Resistant TB in India, put out whole genome sequencing as the need of the hour in India. And just yesterday, the WHO brought out the newest catalog for calling drug-resistant tuberculosis in India. We are really, really fortunate to have one of the authors of that study as a team member at Haystack Analytics in IIT Bombay. The opportunities for clinicians is now to offer the best treatment to the patient on day 0. What I mean by that is we need to give every patient the equal opportunity to get the best therapy every time they reach a doctor. When they don't reach a doctor every time, and when they don't get the treatment right, this is what happens. All of us know defaulting. You go and talk about why drug resistance happens, everyone is going to say defaulting. But why does defaulting happen? Of course, defaulting happens because the drugs are very difficult to take. Of course, defaulting happens because there is red urine after you take rifampicin. All of that is there. But we must also recognize defaulting is there because the patient starts feeling well and then stops feeling well. The patient worsens. Why does that happen? We know that there is a patient delay. There is a stigma. Patients approach the system late because in and around them, they have seen patients go years and years of TB therapy without getting a relief. There is a diagnostic delay because there is one test, you do an X-ray, you do a sputum, you do a gene expert, then an expert plus, then a first-line LP, a second-line LP, a first-line DST, a second-line DST, then universal DST, then CT scan. There is a diagnostic delay. Why can't we provide the answer on day 1? There is a treatment delay because every time the diagnostic cycle is repeated, the treatment changes and the patient is fed up. The doctor is trying to do his or her best, but the patient is fed up. All of that leads to inaccurate therapy, and this inaccurate therapy globally results in 75% of MDR cases being untreated in the community, transmitting drug-resistant TB. And that's a mathematical problem. Because if we are treating every drug-susceptible tuberculosis case, the only TB which is not getting treated and which will transmit is drug-resistant TB. So all clinicians out there, the number of drug-resistant TB cases that you're going to see is only going to increase because you're doing a fabulous job in treating the drug-susceptible case. And the diagnostic is letting you down in treating the drug-resistant case. We want to change all of that. We want to bring genomics to scale. The first thing that ThyroCare did, brought the test at 3,000 rupees. What this means is today, just over a marginal extra cost of a gene expert, which gives response to one drug, rifampicin resistant, you can have a screening for 18 antibiotics at the same time. The process has been integrated in the ThyroCare workflow. It's one of the leading TB culture DST and molecular testing labs in the world. It is validated by the national program, by CAP and by NABL. All the accreditations are there. And they have now integrated genome sequencing into their laboratory. The place where Haystack came in, we solved that small problem with the government put out, that how can we do genomic analysis? It is so complicated. Haystack Analytics, engineers from IIT Bombay, scientists from IIT Bombay, IIT Kharagpur and other places, we came together to find a fully automated plug and play system. So right now, when I first did genome sequencing analysis at the University of Oxford, there were 25 best scientists in the world working on it. Today at ThyroCare, no scientist is required to work on genome sequencing. There is a software in which the data goes in and the report comes out. It's completely automated, completely plug and play. What is even more important, we have tried to make the interpretation clinical friendly. We have tried to make the interpretation actionable. What we have been able to therefore do is replace all these number of tests that are repeated over a life cycle of a TB patient by one test, that is genome sequencing. This is taking molecular tests to the whole new level. When you ask me the question, what is the reproducibility between a Haynes and a gene expert and sequencing? The answer is gene expert looks for 20 mutations, LPA might be looking for 70 mutations. Whole genome sequencing looks for all mutations. The reproducibility is 100%. By science, it is supposed to be 100%. When we start looking at the data, this was the first validation we did with the WHO, the National Health Mission and the Central TB Division. This was the data sheet that we got for each patient. There were 100-odd patients. I'm showing about 50 of them here. All the red cells were antibiotics for which the patient had been found resistant using culture and other methods. The blue cells, and that is what was surprising, the blue cells were data points which was not available because the patient was not tested, because the test would come after 6 months after they had failed therapy. We went in and did whole genome sequencing. All the antibiotics were elucidated in one go. The analysis takes 15 minutes. The DNA extraction takes about a day. The enrichment takes about 5 days. The whole process is over in 10 days. 10 days, sometimes some hospitals in this country take 2 days, 3 days to give a gene expert result. Not in Mumbai, not in the metro cities. But look at the time difference, and we are going to bring it down to 5 days with the help of ThyroCare. Not just that, every patient that we get goes into the genomic database, which automatically finds out the new mutation which results in drug resistance. Continuously, the team is working tirelessly to find the new catalogs, to find the new mutations, so that every new mutation which is characterized for drug resistance will benefit the patient that comes next day. We do not want any more delays in diagnostics just because it takes time to make a new kit. We don't need a new kit. We just need a new program. When we look at solutions, the Omega TB Made in India solution with the Department of Biotechnology, IIT, all of that, we have been able to make it really inexpensive. We have been able to make it private. Your data is not going anywhere. The genome sequencing is being used to provide tamper-proof data. You cannot change a genomic sequence data because every data comes with its own barcode from the instrument. This is Omega TB, which is used, which is the underlying analytical technology for ThyroCare genome sequencing. So what does it mean for clinicians? For fresh cases, when it is RIPA sensitive, when it is HIV positive, you must bring the data of a person for whole genome sequencing. But certainly for RIPA resistant and MDR suspect, if your patient is a retreatment case, if your patient is INH resistant, if your patient is resistant to one drug or even half a drug, if you think half a drug in the sense, if you think it is presumptive NDR, the patient should be brought to whole genome sequencing, because we are saving you at least 6 weeks of time. And we are saving the patient from taking medicines which won't work. I will remind again, if one medicine is not working, you're reducing the chance of the other 3 medicines to work. Patients must be brought for whole genome sequencing at the earliest. And right now, whole genome sequencing provides universal DST in less than 12 days, and at a cost which is less than culture DST, and at a turnaround time which is amazing for a clinician and the patient. With this, I really request all of you to avail the benefits at Thyrocare. They have launched this technology at an unbelievable price, and I'm sure Dr. Chaitali would be able to talk of it. Aparna, there is a possibility Dr. Chaitali might be traveling. If required, I can probably go through her slides as well.
Sure, sure.
Just let me check with Dr. Chaitali. Is she here?
I'm here. I can take it ahead.
So I will take the slides for you, Dr. Chaitali.
Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, thank you.
Let me just open up your presentation.
Yeah, so
okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Aparna, for introduction, and Dr. Singhal for such a wonderful case presentation, and of course, Dr. Anirvan for such a lovely talk. Starting with TB whole genome sequencing, at the end of this session, we'll be able to summarize the impact of detection, turnaround time, and affordability of TB whole genome sequencing. So, as in both the previous presenters have shown this impact very efficiently, that why it is important to start and treat patient or TB patient effectively, and what efficiently it means, how many drugs he is taking and which drugs he is taking. So basically combination of drugs that matters a lot with the length or the duration of the treatment. So as we all know, before going to the duration and treatment, Anirvan, can you just go to the next, please? So we'll just go through the algorithm quickly, whereas everyone knows it, I'm not going into depth of it. But if you can see about the NAT testing, which says the gene expert over here, and after that, if it's a rifampicin resistant is not detected, it goes for the LPA, second line LPA, and then if it is a resistant, then it to culture and DST. And if it is not detected, then generally it starts with the first line regimen. But if you can see the points over here, the star which has been marked over here there are few DSTs, which is culture based, are available at the NRLs only for few of the antibiotic, whereas dollar indicates the presence of smear status positive. That is indicating if only smear status are positive for this sample which goes for the NAT, then and then only genomic diagnostic testing can be possible, because it requires a loads of bacteria. Otherwise, we have to go for the culture, and then culture takes 3 to 6 weeks to go, and patients is without treatment for that particular days. Next, please, Anirvan. So I'm just going into rapidly over here. If you can see the first test which comes in the algorithm, which says about the gene expert testing. It is the integration of different technologies. It is a microfluidics technique. TB-DNA sequence is already mapped for rifampicin resistant genome, and we can come to know whether the patient is having TB or not, or if he's having TB, then the first line drug, that is a rifampicin drug, which is most effective drug against TB, is susceptible or resistance. Next, please. So here is the fill it, shut it, and forget it for 2 hours. You'll get the result in just 2 hours of a time. and it is the game changer technology when it came to the TB diagnostics. And as we all know, the CBNAT test is doing this test just because it doesn't require any specialized technician to get trained for. And the results which are coming in 2 hours are really in easy to understanding way to the clinician, to the technician, as well as to the patient. And it gives us us the impact of the drug resistant of a rifampicin. So if you can see the bugs which requires to come CITA positive, that is a 130 organism or CFUs are there, then and then only this test comes positive. Next slide, please. So here is the detection, or here is the screen which can be seen for gene expert testing, where patient will get the result very easily, and as well as it is very easy to interpret for the clinicians and the technicians. Next slide, please. Another test which is here is line probe assays, which is the second test in the algorithm. So it is quite lengthy test as compared to the gene expert, but then it gives you the 2 antibiotic first, that is the rifampicin and isoniazid in first line, and group of antibiotics for fluoroquinolones and aminoglycosides in second line. So it is a hybridization assay where we need to extract the DNA from the sample, then we need to go for a PCR, and then there is a method called as the hybridization, which can be done manually or by automated by using TwinCubator or GTBlot 48 respectively. And at the end of the test, you'll get the result in the color reaction format, which looks like this. Next slide, please. So here is the interpretation of a SL, that is, I'm just giving you for example. So here are the 3 bands which we need to check with the intensity of the bands, whether controls have run properly or not, then loci have come on the strip or not, and then we need for the check for the probes, which probes are bind over here and which are not. Depending on the, sometimes if it is clearly absent, then it's very easy to read. But if it's not clearly absent or present, then it is difficult to read the reaction and give the report to the patient. So basically we have to check the intensity of a band very keenly when we are running line probe assays for first line and second line. Next slide, please. So here are some mutations which we know, we should know, or the person who is doing the test should know, that the high confidence resistant genetic markers and which can be replaced DST. So anyone who is reading these strips, or anyone who is interpreting the result, should know which are the high confidence resistant markers, or which are the low confidence resistant markers, and doctors and clinicians should know about this. This generally comes along with the report, but even though it has to be read very carefully. Next slide, please. So third test which is there in the algorithm in the culture in solid and liquid media. So this complete techniques requires really efficient technician. It requires setup of a biosafety cabinet as well as the class 2 type 2 facilities to run to culture the samples. And so it's risky as compared to genomic DNA to work on than culture. But these are the so far current gold standard, because it gives you the record of whether the patient is having TB, which is of dead bacilli or actual bacilli. And the turnaround time for this test to come positive is for 3 to 6 weeks. Next slide, please. So as per the algorithm indicates that there is a, on first day, you'll come to know about the CBNAT reports. In that, you'll just come to know about the rifampicin testing. If you go for first line or second line, it will take 3 to 4 days of a time to come out the result. And if you are going for culture DST, it will take 45 to 60 days to come to know whether patient is having active TB and for which antibiotic is susceptible or resistant. So the mean duration of a treatment initiation in TB care takes an average of 65 days to new and retreatment cases. Next slide, please. So this is a really nice study which has been done by the European DST lab, where they have calculated the error rate for tuberculosis DST by phenotypic method and molecular method grouped by individual drugs. So if you can see here, the red line indicates the phenotypic DST, green line indicates the DST on crude extract using molecular tools, and blue line indicates the DST on culturally between drugs. So if you can found to be highly error prone, followed by amikacin and ethambutol and streptomycin, whereas the proportion of incorrect result for second line injectables like quinolones, kanamycin, and was lower, similar to that of rifampicin and isoniazid. So it showed that the scope for improvement in all technologies for few drugs is really high over here. Next slide, please. So there are few technical challenges, as I discussed already about the traditional DSTs. Is the origin of resistance and interpretative criteria should be known. Doses and stability of the incorporated compound should be stable. Now it requires standardization of a procedure, but it's still difficult to set up the correct performance DST, and it requires the understanding of antimicrobiality of incorporated drugs. Next, please. So this has been taken up by the Dr. Anirvan. I'm letting it go. Next slide, please. So with the Haystack, Thyrocare has launched this test 2 months back, and this is in a summarized table. We have given the outcome of this test. So CBNAT giving you report of a one antibiotic in 24 hours, costing as we know about it. Line probasis, it is a targeted mutation for first and second line of group of antibiotic, that is to not individual. It takes 4 to 5 days to come. Liquid culture DST gives you report of a 12 to 14 antibiotics. It takes 3 to 6 weeks to grow the culture, and DST again takes time upon it. But Omega TB and TB whole genome sequencing gives the result of 18 antibiotic turnaround time as low as 12 days. And along with that, it gives other information of a strain identification, mixed infection, and co-infection. Next slide, please. So currently there is a need of TB whole genome sequencing, which shows the exactly affecting MTB, including its complete comprehensive drug resistant profile, and thus allows clinician to identify the best treatment regimen to combat the disease, which we can say as an individualized drug therapy. And the implementation of TGS will benefit the NTP, providing data for surveillance of resistance to different anti-TB drugs. Next slide, please. So here is the technology in brief. We first collect the sample, we enrich it, we extract the DNA, we enrich it. So probably if it is a smear status positive, we can again reduce the TAT over here. We extract the DNA from we extract the DNA. Then there is a pre-sequencing preparation. It goes for the sequencing, and data. It is a tamper-proof data which has been developed by data analysis with the help of a QTB, and report is generated. The report format which we have created over here is as simple as GeneXpert to understand by the clinician. So benefits of the TGS, it is a comprehensive. It's giving 18 drugs data. So if you can see this, the red colored antibiotics indicates the drugs where mutation conferring resistant is not there, whereas the green color antibiotics is the antibiotics for which mutation conferring drug resistant is not detected. This is the first page of our report, which shows that the 18 antibiotic in line and gives the information about the presence of drug resistant mutation is detected or not detected. along with the number of a percent, read which type of a strain it has been identified, and along with any other co-infection or any other NTM or MOD production is there or not, along with the MTB. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Anirban.
Dr. Chaitali, I have shifted the slides.
Yeah, I'm unable to see. So with TGS, we are, as Anirban have already discussed about it, at ThyroCare, we are going to looking for the scaling up of this technology, where we are thinking of implementing liquid handler system for DNA extraction and mechanical handling system for other tools can be utilized, where we can actually scale up this technology. Also, it is really safer as compared to working on the live culture for the person who is working on it. And also, we are thinking of generating real-time data for this, where with the help of MIS or LIS system, the data from the instrument can be directly put it into the Niksha ID portal, where we can make the efficient handling of the data for the TB patient across the country. So in nutshell, we can say that TGS can provide greater resolution than conventional genotypic for investigating recent TB transmission or drug resistance. It is a one-stop source of curated genotypic and related metadata with MTB strains. And we are transitioning using TGS as a standard method of a TB diagnostics by providing antibiogram of 18 drugs within 12 days and affordable cost. So 12 days turnaround time can be further reduced down with the cost of rupees 3,000. So in 3,000 rupees, you are getting 18 drugs, and it is a comprehensive test for TB molecular testings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaitali. And once again, I would like to thank all the speakers for their wonderful talks and an impassioned talk, specifically by Dr. Anirban Chatterjee. We will now take some of the questions which are there in the chat box. So just let me start with the couple questions which are there. So first of all, there are praises from Dr. Harish Dixit to all panelists saying good. So congratulations. Secondly, good evening all the delegates. Second is from Mr. Mohan Agarwal to all panelists. Good evening all the delegates. You people have presented and provided a lot of information, which is going to help me a lot to use this information.
We can probably go to the questions.
So there is a question from Srinivas Gola. How much is the cost? I think that has already been mentioned. The cost is rupees 3,000. Dr. Chaitali, would you like to take this?
Yes, so cost is 3,000 rupees for the for one test. So in 3,000 rupees, you'll get the comprehensive report of 18 antibiotics.
Thank you. Dr. Sriraj Talvadekar has asked to all panelists, at Dr. Nikam, can Omega TB be done on extrapulmonary samples too? And if yes, has it been standardized? I think Dr. Chaitali or
yeah. So extrapulmonary samples, yes, if it is a grown in culture, definitely we can extract the DNA from the culture. Otherwise, we all know that extrapulmonary samples are already having less load of a TB bacilli, and then it would be very difficult to extract the DNA which is required for whole genome sequencing. But yes, if it is growing in the culture, then definitely we can, take it ahead. And there are the standardization is already have been done by Dr. Anirban in few of the countries, and definitely we can do it if its culture has grown already.
The next is from Dr. Satyaranjan Panigrahi. This is to all panelists. Omega TB TGS will be very helpful for controlling a surge treatment of NTM, pulmonary tuberculosis. So Anirvan, you want to add anything to this?
Sure, sure. I think these are the comments. I think, Dr. Panigre, you're right. And so inherently, whole genome sequencing picks up any genomic sequence that is there. So right now, it's the only technology which can not only detect if it is not TB, but that also can classify what else other than TB it is between NTM and other mixed infections and co-infections. It is something that we are looking forward to, and also something that we are working closely with the team at ThyroCare. It will probably answer a lot of the questions that is there in people's mind on extrapulmonary TB, NTM, and other TB presentations. Right now, we have validated Omega TB for pulmonary tuberculosis. Having said that, as long as there is a TB culture, the same validation works because it's based on DNA extraction. But we are also looking forward to validating it direct from sputum. And when that happens, the turnaround time will become much shorter. I will take this question along with what Suresh has asked. Suresh has asked, what is it that takes 12 days? We do an enrichment of 5 days. It is meant for two things. One is, of course, when we do an enrichment, we are reducing the chance of mixing up dead versus alive. So we are definitely picking up alive bacteria. And second is it gives us a better opportunity to do the sequencing in a way and form which is reproducible. And that is how the technology has been validated. As I said, we're trying to bring it down direct from sputum. And when that is available, I think this will be, a lot more people will be even more excited about this to bring it down. I would continue with Suresh. He has a few more, I don't know. So Suresh probably has a question on how many types of strains are prevalent in India. There are several hundred types of strains in India. Predominantly, it is called the CAS, the Central Asian strain, the East African Indian strain, the Beijing strain. Then there are sub-lineages of that. We do also understand that some of these lineages are extremely have an extremely aggressive disease presentation, especially the Beijing lineage. The CAS lineage is known to have a very, very high immunomodulatory action where it subverts the immune system and has a very, very long disease time. And some of this information is practically not available in any other technology other than whole genome sequencing. Last question from Suresh that I'm taking up. What stage of TB sequencing is more relevant? To my understanding, TB sequencing should be done the moment somebody is chest X-ray positive. Of course, there is a cost factor associated with it. We definitely would suggest that if the patient is RIF resistant, certainly should come from whole genome sequencing. But there are several patients who are RIF negative but are resistant to several other drugs. It is something that we would encourage most patients to undergo.
A couple of other questions are there also in the chat box, which we will just take. What will be the sensitivity and specificity of WGS compared to NAT and LPA? This is from Dr. Vishal Gaikwad.
So NAT and LPA is going to become 100% reproducible on whole genome sequencing. Both are molecular methods. The technology is different in the way we are looking at it. NAT looks at it either by hybridization or real-time PCR. Whole genome sequence is actually the gold standard as we know it. You can try to understand it today in the difference between genome sequencing for COVID and RT-PCR. The genome sequencing comes first and then RT-PCR comes in. And that probably brings me to one of my questions that I have for Dr. Singhal. Dr. Singhal, the cases that you spoke of, do you really think that an early treatment for any of those patients, I mean, between the father, the daughter, and the brother, an early treatment could have stopped this progression from MDR to XDR?
See, I don't know about the father because he was not under my treatment. But I think these both of the children, like both of these girls and boy, probably have the secondary drug-resistant tuberculosis. I don't think they are primary, so they must be getting from his father or his or father. And the father was also admitted at our civil TB hospital. They visited the hospital at multiple times. So probably they are getting this infection from either from the father or from the visit to the hospital. So I don't think so. But yes, if it would have been diagnosed earlier, they would have not. They would have saved this painful time during this treatment period. So that would have been definitely saved by if they were subjected to the actual diagnostic tools for the initiating the treatment.
Thank you.
There is one last question, if we can take it. May you please provide more information for detecting TB in pediatric patients like age 2 to 10? Getting sputum is difficult for them. So will you suggest stool gene expert or this technology works?
I'm sorry. This is a very, very good question, Mohan. I think the honest answer is no. Neither the stool gene expert nor this technology works. What we are trying to do is standardize this for BAL. Once we have it validated for BAL, that could be at least one go-to. And we understand it's highly invasive in children, and it's extremely painful to watch and perform. But right now, it is a challenge. I see the question around the stool. It's thought-provoking, and I'll probably think about it.
So I have one question.
Please.
Yeah, I understand that is basically for pulmonary tuberculosis, right?
Yes.
So, but in case of lymph node tuberculosis, we do needle aspiration, and we send it for the AB culture, DST. So, can it be helped in this case, because we are seeing lots of lymph node MDR, XDR. So can it be helped?
Absolutely, Dr. Singhal. So here is the kicker, right? There are two parts to the technology. One is the DNA extraction, and the second is the genome sequencing, right? So the genome sequencing and the sequence analysis, that is validated in all circumstances. The challenge is the validation of the DNA extraction. So right now we have DNA extraction validated for an enriched culture. As long as we have enriched culture from lymph, extrapulmonary, whatever it is, your result is going to be validated. The challenge is we're trying to do the validation for BAL and lymph node and some of this for the DNA extraction. Having said that, if given the kind of limitations on the culture itself between lymph node and all of this, that is a part which we are working on, which we are not ready with. But if we put it on the culture, if the culture is flagged, we can give the result in less than 5 days.
See, reason for asking this question is now, by initial days of my practice, that is in long back in 2000, we were seeing very few cases of extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Now we are seeing the more of extrapulmonary tuberculosis, particularly the lymph node, the pleural effusion, the pericardial effusion sometimes. So here, like sometimes we are delaying the right treatment because the tests are not available. So the people are starting empirically the second line and all. So we can, that is also adding to the incidence of raising the drug-resistant tuberculosis.
Absolutely. We are working closely with ThyroCare and some other labs. As you've seen, I've already worked with some of the key leaders in this. All improvements will be added to the ThyroCare genome sequencing portfolio in future.
So I also request you, particularly Dr. Arivan and Aparna and Chaitali, we having a national webinar on a DRTB on 30th June. I request you to participate so you can put your insight. So I'll tell them to call you as a panelist. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Thanks, and we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks to all panelists and all the participants.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and sitting through this. Thank you. Bye.
It was, we enjoyed it, Dr. Anirvan.
We're always happy.
Yeah, and I also congratulate Dr. Chaitali and the ThyroCare team for doing all that is necessary for bringing this to at such an affordable price to everybody, keeping in mind that it is for the cause of a larger good. So once again, thank you, and we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Dr. Aparna. Yeah.
Bye.
Pleasure.